Okay, I think I'm on. I'm on. There we go. So it takes a minute for me to realize the stream is on here, so I apologize for the slow intro. We're going to go through a little bit of the journey that we took to get here. We're off air for a while, and we had to solve a problem, and the problem we needed to solve was how to live stream. And it's you think it would be easy, but not so much. So I'll walk you through some of the challenges that we had, whether this is worth it for anybody or not, and we'll see. You'll get to see a little bit of the studio behind me here. So the big challenge is audio plus video, and it's not just me talking. The primary focus behind this is to get guests on, and to have them come in either physically in person. So I've got an iPhone cam here. Let's see if this works today. There we go. Okay, so there's the studio. So I've got some chairs set up, and we'll set cameras up across the way. There's my main Sony on the slider over there, moving back and forth. This is my view. This is OBS in action here. So you can see OBS working, and then I've got a monitor over here where I'm running Stream Deck and a few other little things. Now, the Stream Deck itself is here. This is how I switch between cameras. So if I go to the Sony, for example, over there, I can go to the laptop camera, which is built in, which is right there. I can go to the teleprompter, which is just above it. Or I can now go back to the iPhone, and you can see all that stuff. Over here, I have, there's a machine in the back, and we'll get to that later. But that's running Ableton Live, and I'm triggering Ableton Live from here. So I can do some samples, and it takes it a moment to load for some reason. We're coming in, we are, and there we go. So there's a little bit of galactic noise in the background there. Let's bring that in a little bit. And so clearly I'm going to have to adjust those. There we go. So I can turn these samples on and off. I've got them in toggle mode. And, the idea is that, maybe I can go to the TRS-80 or 8OS and load up a beat over top of them. Or, there we go. So that's my rhythm machine down here. Beside the samples, now we can load anything we want on these samples, and I've got a lot of work to do to set up a library to do just that. Beside that, I've got my MC707, and here we can do more, more groovy stuff. That's a little bit of some of their demo sounds. I'm not that good yet, but I've got a long way to go. But now I have a reason to do that. So anyway, so that's the view from here, and we'll go back to here. You're coming in through this, or I'm going out through the Sony, however you want to consider that. So getting all that wired together, you noticed there was a soundboard in here. So we'll go back over here. So this is probably like 20 years old. Some of the faders here move, they scratch. I was going to call this the Itchy and Scratchy Show, because you got to be careful when you adjust anything because of the static. And this goes off to a device that's actually even older. I think it must be at least 30 years old, because I'm running through these little boxes. I don't know if you can see them there. Okay, so these take audio, run it through Cat5 cable. They condition it so it runs, pretty clean, and it goes to another box. So there's a Linux box up in the corner over there. It's accepting that audio, and that is for our, for our guests that come in. I can feed them this feed, and it goes to them. So the challenge is so that's kind of the live feed. There's no delays there. I was trying to do it with OBS. And it was just like, Yeah, that was a nightmare. So I want to do it in hardware, and separate from the OBS machine, because this is an M2 Mac laptop with 24 gigs of RAM. I didn't skimp when I got it, and it just practically melted down by the time I loaded a few things on it. So OBS just heats up huge amounts of RAM. It has to sort of run the show literally. So I wanted to take as much off of OBS as I could, which I have done. So we're using Video Ninja to bring guests in. We feed the audio to them, and using the director's cut. And then when we bring them into OBS, via, again, video.ninja links, then their audio comes in here. Now, I can't hear, well, I have to hear their audio because I need to hear them, because that's the only way. I mean, you've got headphones on. The studio has to be quiet, or else you get feedback loops and whatever. That's why everybody wears monster truck headphones. It's not a fashion statement. It just has to be done in order to control the audio. So their audio comes into OBS, and it has to go back. And I'll show you this little device here. This has been a friggin' lifesaver. If it wasn't for this, I don't think I could have pulled this off. So this is an Mutu, something of the unicorn, Mark of the Unicorn, I think they're called. So this is an M2 audio interface, and just here there's a little thing called monitor, and what that does is it injects the live signal that's coming from the board directly into my headphones. So I hear myself directly. I do not hear myself coming out of OBS. And that's important because OBS introduces just enough of a lag that I sound like a complete friggin' idiot trying to talk over that delay. If you've ever heard a delay of more than like a quarter second in your headphone, you just lose track of where you are and you can't talk. Not that I'm great at talking as it is right now. Anyway, so I've got the direct feed coming through there. And thankfully, if it wasn't for this, I can feed back from OBS. I can feed back the audio from the guests and get it into one headphone cable. That was the thing that was just, we went through a lot of iterations to get here, right? And of course, I had to tear the office apart to run the cables and all that wonderful stuff. Anyway, that's done. So now we're in business. Now I can spend time working on show content as opposed to the technical stuff that's required to get the show on the air. And all of this, takes me about an hour to boot up the studio, set all the devices, the lights, and everything. So my goal is, once we're set up and running, I will record a series of short videos. So because we can just get them done, because the moment I press stop streaming, it's already up on YouTube. Sorry about that. It's already up on YouTube, ready to go. So that is the magic here. And of course, if I was really smart, I would have clicked the thing. There's a thing in YouTube now that lets you split stream between a 16:9 and a 9:16, so a vertical format. And I think I forgot to do that. I'm going to add that to my notes, because I got this great big checklist that I have to go through to boot everything up and get the systems running and connected and tested and everything. Like I say, it takes me about an hour to turn it on. I'm going to see if I can get that down, but I don't want to waste that investment in time booting it up. I want to leverage that by doing as many recordings as I can. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this to help people. Either through sharing of the knowledge that I have, just a little bit, but more. I want to get guests on. I want to do a number of things to help make other people's lives a little bit easier. Because if it's this hard for me to do this, and my background is technology, I can't imagine how hard it is for other people. Now you could, there are devices that solve these problems, but you have to understand that that's the problem you need to solve first. That's you don't get experience until after you need it most, right? That's a big saying. And so you might not realize that problem is there. You'll buy the wrong hardware or whatever. You might want to, you might not want to do the multicam thing. You might want to not do the moving cam thing. You can pick up a phone and just stream directly, and that works for some people. It doesn't work for everybody, especially if you want to bring graphics in, which we can do. I've got some. Let me see. I can do this. Now, normally I'd do this through the Stream Deck, but I've got to program the Stream Deck to do it. So we can bring graphics in, other footage in, we can bring websites in and discuss them, etc., etc., etc. So there's other possibilities here. Now that graphic should be moving. I've got to get them faster. This is some work I did years ago, and it just takes a moment to warm up and start moving. I don't know why, but I'll work on making it faster in the future because it needs to move right away. The whole point is supposedly to keep things interesting, but hey, here we are, and so I think interesting went out the window the moment I came on camera. Who knows? Face for print. There you go. All right, so there's any other questions I need to answer here? The slider control is here. It's a manual slider for the camera. Don't know if you can see it. There's a slight effect. You'll see the background move ever so slightly. That's from the slider. The Sony is moving. Let's show that to you. So yeah, there's the Sony. So it's almost at the end of the travel over there. You can see it just waddling along, and then it'll get to the end or a point that I've set, and then it'll turn around and go back the other way. So it's just about at the end. There we go, and it slows down and starts to go back. All right, so let's put you back on here. You can see it, and you can see that where I'm cut off is slightly different. So it's just, the whole point is to just this little subtle movement that makes the video framing a little bit more interesting. Hopefully it's what I'm talking about that is more interesting, but hey, every little bit helps. All right, I think I've covered everything. Now this is Workshop Forge, and Workshop Forge is to help people, put on workshops. And a lot of people, I've been avoiding this for a long time. And because everybody kept asking me about online stuff. And I'm going like, no. People want to see people in person, right? I mean, we did this whole pandemic thing, and now we got to get out and meet people. So I kept pushing on. I kept pushing in-person stuff, and everybody kept asking online. Anyway, so that is the explanation for this in order to solve this online problem. Now, the setup is somewhat portable in that we can take this and do live streaming from an actual in-person event. So you'll see me do that on this channel, so we'll go out, we'll do a Workshop Forge, and we will live stream it so that more people can see, what, not necessarily what I'm up to, but what the people that are hanging around with me are up to, because I think that's important. I want to try and get some exposure for more and more people. So that's a big thing of again why we're doing this. Anyway, I think we have covered everything. So on that note, I will see if I can send us out here with a little bit of music, and you guys have yourself an absolutely wonderful day. There we go. Have a dance party on Friday night. There we go. All right. Take care, everybody.